All right.
Should we get started?
So yeah. An opening prayer.
I'll say the prayer. Yeah, God, grateful for this day, grateful for the opportunity to once again meet as a group and discuss this case. We're grateful for the time that we've had to prepare and to go over it and to learn a little bit more. We ask you to help us approach it with an open mind that we may understand and learn from one another. And we say this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Does anyone have a spiritual thought?
Not everyone at once.
Looks like we're not going to get spiritually uplifted then.
I was just at my daughter's Young Women's New Beginnings, and so I guess I can share a little bit about what they said. They were talking about how they were talking about the stripling warriors, but from the perspective of looking at the moms and how strong the moms were to raise those boys to be the men that they were, to step up and defend their families, and the faith that they had, and all the attributes that we can possess that those moms did in teaching their kids. That was the thought for the night.
Okay, very good. Thank you. All right, you jump in. Do you guys feel like Sorry.
I was just going to ask, is it this week or this case just the 5 questions?
Yeah.
Sweet.
It's like Christmas morning, isn't it?
Yeah, I didn't believe it for a second. That's why I had to ask.
It was a really long case, though, I thought.
Yeah, it was.
And do you guys feel like some of these cases are just so unnecessarily long? It's like, I don't need to know where the guy was born and what his favorite color was. I mean, they just go into such detail that it's like, I don't care.
Yeah, the first 6 pages of this case could have been summarized by saying he worked at General Electric, or was it General Motors or General Electric? I forget.
Yeah,
General Electric.
Yeah.
And a few other companies, and he learned how to increase net profit, increase margins, stuff like that. So.
Yeah, I was really glad at the beginning of the semester when he talked about how to read the case. First section, read the last section, and then kind of skim everything else. Because last semester I did another class that had case studies, and they were forever long to read. And this one kind of tops those, so.
Yeah, it was painfully long.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's jump in. Well, I'll just get us started. Prepare your group discussion by answering the following questions. Assess this venture from Jim Sharpe's perspective. This venture. Well, the venture seemed like a exhausting and thorough process of getting financing, finding the right company, finding a good fit, working out the details, trying to navigate the landmines and the legal challenges that the contracts and everything else. To me, it seemed like it was a monumental undertaking. I don't know if that is answering the question, though.
I think just to add it, I think it's a great opportunity for him just based on his background. I think it fit his criteria pretty well, where he was looking for a company that was just kind of lacking and failing in a couple aspects that he could use his experience to really turn it around and to make it more profitable. Like it said in the case, it is more profitable than it does look on paper because the owner and his father has been taking out money. But I think it's just some quick, well, maybe not quick, but just identifiable problems that need to be addressed and can really turn it around and really be successful at it. So I think in that aspect, I think it's pretty promising for him.
Yeah, I think it's a good deal for him, and he'll be successful just because he got so much experience before he actually bought that company. And something that stood out to me that he said was that at that point, like when someone made a mistake, he could immediately recognize it. He could see what went wrong. And it sounds like you said, Andrew, like there's a lot of inefficiencies in this company you just bought. And just with this experience, I feel like he'll be able to turn it around.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, from the history they gave about his background, it kind of sounds like this is his perfect fit as a company because it has the union aspect that he's dealt with before and all these problems that he's had throughout his career, his knowledge to use.
Yeah, he's got a lot of experience for what he's about to undertake. Okay, the next question asks, how has Jim Sharpe purchased this venture? What are the implications of this financial structure? So this was something I was trying to understand because they talked about this was the leverage buyout period in the late 1980s and one common not so savory tactic. And then it kind of got into that, basically leveraging on paper. And then if this thing goes to bankruptcy, then you basically stick it to the owner. But I guess they put into place clauses that would prevent him from doing that. So where was the skinny on the financing of this?
On the slides that he gives us over, it says that he purchased the business for $2 million, financed with $100,000 in equity from his savings, $700,000 seller's note, a $540,000 6-year non-compete, a term loan of $510,000, and a revolving line of credit for $197,000.
Where did you see that again?
It's in the slides that he gave us to look over.
That Excel spreadsheet. It's in step 1.
Yeah.
It's also on the executive summary on page 16. It kind of goes through some of that.
Yeah, I saw the executive summary. I think there was okay.
But some implications that I think go along with the structure is the previous owner was pretty nervous about him just filing bankruptcy and then the owner just getting kind of screwed out of the rest of the money that he is owed. And so I know the owner went to great lengths with the legal work and making sure that he's the one that gets the ownership if things go wrong or if he faults on his loan or other payments type things like that. So I think there's definitely security there for the previous owner to make sure that he's going to get his money.
Yeah, and I mean he came to the table with some of his own money, so he has some skin in the game here too. Okay. What are the implications of the financial structure? I mean, we kind of talked about that. One of the things we didn't talk about was that, and this is, I guess, pretty common, is that there was a non-compete that was by the original seller that you couldn't go and create another business and compete against the buyer, which is important.
So
Okay.
how did he put a value on that? So a 540,000 6-year non-compete. So I don't really understand that.
I think the 6-year, 540,000 non-compete agreement. In other words, if he were to compete in the 6 years, then it would come at a $540,000 cost, like as a penalty. So you mean, where did the $540,000 come from?
Well, just so that's part of how he paid the $2 million was the 540,000.
Oh, I get what you're saying. The seller is providing financing in the form of $700,000 note. So it's a seller financing of $700,000 and a 6-year fine. Huh. Okay, so what I think that means is that the seller is providing, it's like an owner financing deal for a portion of the cost. The seller is providing financing at $700,000, and also he's going to put in another $540,000 that the seller is having to. So the seller is basically financing $1,240,000, of which $540,000 of it has a non-compete. In other words, if he were to go and compete, then he would be basically foregoing $540,000. That note would just basically be null and void. The buyer wouldn't have to pay. Excuse me?
I gotcha.
What do you think?
That sounds right to me. That's really the only way to enforce a non-compete anyway.
Right. Okay. What are the implications? We kind of talked about that. What should Jim Sharpe do on his first day as owner of Extrusion Technology Incorporated? Well, it was interesting. I don't know if you caught, there was, I guess, comments in the body of it that said that he was not to talk to customers or employees. He could walk through the factory and look at the books, but he can't talk to the customers or employees. So I guess that's the first thing I would do on the first day, right? Because it doesn't sound like he was allowed to introduce himself or see that part of the business.
This actually happened at my office a year and a half ago. And nobody knew about the sale until after the sale was over. And they came in one day and said, no longer the owners, here they are, and left. But before that, they weren't to have any contact with any of us. Very strange.
So I think it makes sense. I don't know if there's a fear maybe that someone would try to, maybe they could go and, you know, if the whole thing is a ruse, they could start their own firm and then steal away employees and customers and leave you out in the cold. So they basically say, hey, I'll sell you the business and you can meet and have my customers and employees only after I get a check, basically. I mean, I assume that's why those rules are in place.
Yeah, I'd say that's part of it, but if when a company sells, the employees kind of get a little nervous, I think.
Oh, that's true.
If they're going to have a job or what's going to happen to the company.
Right.
And if the employees leave, the value of the company goes down.
Right. Same with customers.
Yeah, exactly. And so it could definitely have an impact on the value of the company. Sale fall through.
So that just happened where I worked actually like 2 months ago. So I work at a ski shop and it's just part of like a big business complex. Like there's multiple businesses in the building, and the owner of the property was selling it, and one of the business owners on the property like freaked out, like, whoa, he's gonna change everything, like I don't want to do this, blah blah blah. So they like went back and forth and they shut down their company and left. And so it left a vacant spot in the building, which, like you said, it just lessened the value of the property because now the new owner is going to have to find someone to replace that. So I could see where that would make sense on why you wouldn't want the word out or him talking to those employees.
Yeah. It's a good point. And really, I mean, if it's the guy's business and his right to sell it to whomever he wants, and then he's allowed to do that. And then, it kind of sucks for employees, but you're just an employee, you're not an owner, I guess. That's one of the consequences of it, is that you can be, I guess you can vote with your feet and leave if you want to, but it makes sense the reason why.
Yeah.
What should his action plan be for the next 6 months, next 12? What should his priorities be? So one of the things I mentioned was that there was labor issues that seemed to be ongoing with contracts with the union in prior years. So, I mean, it sounds like there was a litany of things. I mean, the building had been neglected. It hadn't been painted for years. The union had kind of had sort of an adversarial relationship, it seemed like, with management. Maybe they talked about the union was weak. Maybe it should be disbanded. So I think there was some work to be done there.
I'm looking at the income statement on that spreadsheet thing right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just from reading the case, it sounds like there's a lot of inefficiencies. Like they order way too many things, like way too much supplies, and they don't like use as much as they order. So it sounds like there's a lot of waste, or they're spending too much on different things. And I was just barely looking at like the gross margin on the income statement, and like the cost of goods sold, it's like almost as much as their sales. And so I think they could, like, by cutting down on costs, only ordering things they need and stuff like that, I think they can improve a lot there. And he does have experience with that, because like the example he gave with that before in the case was like when he was, I think it was when he's, I forget which company it was, but he had to analyze like everything that was going on. Like they had like 6 different people they bought like cardboard boxes from.
Yeah, they mentioned that.
Why do we have that many people we're ordering boxes from? So I think that's probably one of the first things you should do, is lower that cost of goods.
Yeah, he says he wasn't given information on margins, pricing, structure, profitability, but the financial projections showed the business was moving up and down in sales volume. So there was obviously a lot of, he's got to roll up his sleeves and kind of look under the covers and try to understand things better. Go ahead. Sorry about that.
Oh no, I was just going to add that it talked about how he had some potential clients in the work and how it would really boost the volume that he's producing. But just with looking at those margins, like Braden said, it's not really going to boost profits or revenues that much just because the margin isn't there. And so I think it's important that he focuses on potential clients and stuff, but I would say kind of going through and cutting back and doing what he does to make it more profitable than going after those clients right away.
Also, as something else on the income statement that sticks out to me, like you were saying, Jason, how like the sales it was kind of like a roller coaster, go up and down. 1 year the sales growth was negative 10.2%. The next year it went up 45.6%. The next year it went down 4.1%, and the next year it went down negative 25%. And it's just kind of like all over the place. So there's something going on.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there was definitely some inconsistency there. Okay.
I wonder what would cause that if they're just not producing. I know it talked a little bit about how their reputation is not reliable and it's not kind of trustworthy product. So I wonder if they get new contracts with companies and that boosts their sales for that year, but then the next year they just drop off because they're not following through with their promises or not giving a good product. So I think maybe kind of rebuilding that reputation and making sure that they're producing what they need to be producing will give a more steady growth.
Yeah. I mean, there could be a lot of reasons why they're seeing such up and down numbers. It also says that the guy said they were much more profitable than the numbers indicate, but I guess because he and his father took a lot of money out. I don't know if distributions to himself has basically caused the financial numbers to be skinny some years because he overpaid himself. I don't know.
So just to throw a whole totally separate thought in here, I think one of the first things that he might want to focus on is getting to know the employees and some of the customers, because they're going to tell you a lot of why it's the way it is, and they'll know some of the numbers and why, maybe not the numbers, but why there were dips and things like that. I want to get those employees and the customers to know the new owners and trust there before he starts making too many changes that are going to just upset the balance again.
Yeah, I agree. Talking to the employees and the customers was something he wasn't really given a chance to do. We kind of talked about that. And I think that would be the first thing I would do as a business owner, is to talk to both of those. So those are really good suggestions. Okay, anything else? Okay, so we touched on his action plan, next 6 and 12 months, and his priorities. 5, last question, did Jim make the right acquisition, and explain? I mean, that's kind of a loaded question, but because I don't know that we have all the answers. But I think he did, because he was very thorough in his undertaking of trying to find the right company. And, he found one that, he had kicked the tires with a lot of companies. And he had done his due diligence with this particular one. And there was a lot of negotiation so that he found a deal that was, probably as favorable as it could be for him. And it wasn't like he took the first offer and it sounded like there's a lot of positives. I mean, the receivables look good. Sale volume, the volume looks good. It seems like it's just very inefficient and not as profitable as it could be. So all told, I think it was a right decision.
I agree. I think there's a lot of potential in there, and he's got the right background to make it better.
Yeah, I agree.
They always ask you these loaded questions like, I mean, who knows? It sounds good. I mean,
Yeah.
Sometimes we don't have enough information. But by the information we have.
10 years down the line and see if it's still that good.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Okay. Any other thoughts?
So it looks like we have to turn in this attachment with our, what do we have to turn in?
I don't think we need to attach that. He doesn't say anything about
Going back to,
Yeah, I think it's just the normal questions this week. So
is it? Okay.
Where do we find those questions again? I know you guys have told me this, but
So if you go into where you submit your analysis, where it says Jim Sharpe case analysis submission,
Sharpe case analysis submission. Yeah.
there's a link in there. The analysis.
Got it. Okay, so who does what questions?
Well, take whichever one. Let me look real quick.
Has anyone done any numbers on this case yet?
Has anybody what?
Worked on any
Has
of the
anyone
numbers
got
yet?
any of the questions? No, but like I can do 7, 8, 9. Who wants to do 5 and 6?
I can do 5 and 6.
Who wants to do 3 and 4?
I could take those.
Okay, so who's left? Andrew gets 1 and 2.
1 and 2, you said?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you get the hard ones.
Okay.
Sounds good. And do you have to turn yours in by 11 your time?
No. Is that what time your deadline is? Is 11?
11, yeah.
Yeah,
Is
it's
it
11 Mountain Time for everybody.
Mine's midnight. You guys are in Idaho, is that right?
Yeah.
You guys
Yeah.
attend classes on campus?
No.
No?
I don't. I'm in Boise.
Okay. I'm in Dallas Fort Worth, so yeah, I have a midnight deadline, so it's what, in an hour and a half. And same for you guys, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds
Okay.
good. We'll get it
Do
right up.
you want
Put it all together.
Excuse me?
Huh?
What did you say? I'm sorry.
Is
I'll just talk.
I was just checking. Oh.
No, Jason, I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
Did you say you're from Fort Worth?
Mm-hmm. Well, outside of Fort Worth.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Where is it? Just outside of Fort Worth?
So it's in Mansfield, Texas. Mansfield is right near Arlington. So if you're at Cowboy Stadium, I live about 15 miles, 20 miles south of there, maybe 15 miles south of there. So it's kind of, I'm about 50 miles from Dallas and about 20 from Fort Worth. There you go.
So do you want us to send the questions to you, Braden?
Yeah.
Again?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, that sounds good, guys. Saturday morning, Same bat time, same bat channel.
Yeah. What time?
We've been doing it at
Sounds good.
10 Central
9.
Mountain, right?
Does that work?
Okay.
Should.
Andrew, you bringing the donuts?
Yep, I'll bring them.
Okay. I'm going to hold you to that. Okay. Sounds good,
All right.
guys.
See you Saturday.
So, yeah.
Okay. See ya.